January 1st, 2011. The world is a powder keg, and the fuse is already burning in the pockets of the marginalized. We enter the year with a smartphone revolution that has moved from the boardroom to the barricades. The air is thick with the scent of jasmine and tear gas, a sensory precursor to a global awakening that will spare no continent. There is a digital tremor beneath our feet, a realization that the connected world we built for commerce is now being repurposed for revolution. The atmosphere is heavy with the static of the new order fighting the old guard for the soul of the 21st century. In the deserts of North Africa, a fruit vendor's desperation has ignited a wildfire that is currently leaping across borders, threatening to incinerate the autocracies of the Middle East. In the boardrooms of Silicon Valley, the cloud is no longer a metaphor, but a central repository of human power. It is the moment the individual realizes they can bypass the institution through the screen in their palm. Before the first quarter ends, the earth will move under Japan, and a dictator's grip will slip in Egypt, events that will permanently alter the global energy and political maps. The world is watching, not through the lens of a news anchor, but through the shaky vertical video of a participant. The fuse is lit. The State of the Planet in 2011 is a study in systemic friction. We are living in the definitive social mobilization era. This is the year Facebook hits 800 million users and Twitter becomes the global town square for live streaming history. We are no longer receiving the news, we are generating the news. The tech level is pushing toward the mobile first. The launch of the iPad 2 and the iPhone 4S proves that our computing power is now a permanent extension of our physical bodies. We are obsessed with the real time, the ability to coordinate thousands of people in a city square with a single tweet. Economically, the world is a debt-ridden minefield. The Eurozone crisis is mutating from a localized Greek problem into a systemic threat to the global economy. In the West, the Occupy Wall Street movement is taking root in Zuccotti Park, a physical manifestation of the anger toward a financial system that feels rigged. The cultural mood is indignant agency. We are done waiting for permission. We are demanding transparency. Geopolitically, the world is an arc of instability. The pivot to Asia is accelerating as China's GDP surpasses Japan's, officially making it the world's second-largest economy. The climate is sounding a catastrophic alarm. 2011 is marked by unprecedented floods in Australia and Thailand, and a record-breaking tornado season in the United States. We are a civilization of digital catalysts, living in a state of constant social agitation, while the fundamental pillars of stability, banks, borders, and regimes, are being stress-tested by the sheer speed of information. We are connected, angry, and finally aware that the power of the crowd is the new nuclear option. The spark that changes the survival trajectory of the century occurs beneath the waves of the Pacific Ocean. March 11, 2011. A 9.1 magnitude earthquake strikes off the coast of Japan. This is the moment the safety myth of the modern world is shattered. The earthquake, the subsequent tsunami, and the nuclear meltdown at Fukushima Daiichi represent a triple disaster that redefines risk for the 21st century. This single event makes the rest of the year's energy and environmental conversations inevitable. It triggers a global nuclear retreat. Within weeks, Germany announces the total phase-out of its nuclear power plants, a decision that will reshape European energy security for decades. This is the spark because it proved that even the most technologically advanced and prepared nation on Earth could be humbled by a black swan event. It proved that our linear planning is no match for the non-linear chaos of nature. The shockwaves lead to a global supply chain fracture that we are still studying today. Why does this matter? Because it gave us the blueprint of fragility. It proved that our globalized world is only as strong as its most vulnerable link. The disaster leads to a new era of resilience engineering and a fundamental shift toward renewable energy. This is the moment the atomic dream met the oceanic reality. The world is no longer just a market, it is a shared ecosystem, and 2011 is the year we realize the cost of our complexity. While the Pacific is reeling from the tsunami, the Middle East is witnessing a political tsunami. In February 2011, Hosni Mubarak, the strongman of Egypt for 30 years, resigns after 18 days of mass protests in Tahrir Square. This is the collapse of the pharaohs. It is the peak of the Arab Spring, a domino effect that has already toppled Ben Ali in Tunisia and is currently engulfing Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. In the United States, the death of Osama Bin Laden in May represents a strategic pivot. The successful Navy SEAL raid in Abbottabad provides a closing chapter to the first decade of the War on Terror, allowing the West to imagine a world beyond al-Qaeda. Contrast this with the East, where Kim Jong-il passes away in December, elevating the young Kim Jong-un to power in North Korea. This is the consolidation of the Hermit Kingdom. In Europe, the political chess is defensive. The Eurozone crisis forces the resignations of Silvio Berlusconi in Italy and George Papandreou in Greece, replaced by technocrats in a desperate bid to save the currency. 2011 is a year of revolution and realignment. From the Square of the People in Cairo, to the compound of the terrorist in Pakistan, and the technocratic coup in Brussels, the global leadership is being forced to adapt to a world where the street has a digital voice. It is a world where traditional sovereignty is being eroded by global interdependence. The political moves of 2011 are about legitimacy. The leaders of the world are discovering that force is no longer a substitute for consent in an age where the crowd is always armed with a camera. The social energy of 2011 is a high-frequency resonance of collective defiance and identity rebirth. Time magazine names the protester as the Person of the Year, a cultural validation of the Occupy Wall Street movement and the indignados of Spain. We are a society obsessed with the horizontal hierarchy. We believe that the wisdom of the crowd can replace the failure of the elite. We use the hashtag as a rallying cry and the viral video as our manifesto. But the voice of the people is also finding its celebration. In April, the royal wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton provides a global escapism, a moment of analog pageantry that proves the world still craves traditional narrative amidst the digital chaos. We are seeing the duality of the 21st century, the desire for revolution and the comfort of legacy. Pop culture meets social change as Adele's 21 becomes the soundtrack of heartbreak, proving that raw emotion is the only thing that can break through the digital noise. Culturally, we are in the era of Game of Thrones and the final chapter of Harry Potter. We are saying goodbye to our childhood myths and hello to a gritty, realist future. We are the generation of digital curation. The launch of Pinterest and the rise of Instagram proves that we are visual creatures in a data-driven world. Socially, 2011 is the year the outrage became a lifestyle. From the Slutwalk protests to the UK riots that burned across London, we use the digital square to vent generational frustration. How did the average person interact with the world? Through a status update that was becoming a political act. We are the main characters of a world that is finally waking up, and in 2011, the alarm clock was a tweet. By the summer of 2011, the pressure cooker of the Arab Spring reaches a red line in the sands of North Africa. The peaceful protests in Libya have mutated into a full-scale civil war. NATO intervenes, launching Operation Unified Protector to prevent a massacre in Benghazi. This is the military escalation that proves the New World Order is willing to use hard power to protect democratic aspirations. The momentum is building toward a regime collapse. The escalation is not just military, it is economic and atmospheric. In August, the United States credit rating is downgraded for the first time in history, an economic red line that shatters the myth of American exceptionalism. Simultaneously, the Horn of Africa famine reaches a catastrophic peak, with millions facing starvation, a humanitarian escalation that proves our global logistics are failing the most vulnerable. In the United Kingdom, the News International phone hacking scandal proves that the press has crossed a moral red line, leading to the closure of the news of the world. The pressure is building at the borders of the truth as WikiLeaks continues to release state secrets. We are witnessing a multi-point ignition. The red line of the credit market, the red line of the sovereign border, and the red line of the newsroom are all being violated. We are living through a global stress test, where the old trust, the bank, the paper, and the ally, is proving to be hollow. The escalation is a total re-evaluation of our systemic integrity. In the shadow of the firestorm, the highs of 2011 represent the stunning velocity of the Silicon Soul. This is the year Watson, the IBM supercomputer, defeats the champions on Jeopardy! It is a cognitive miracle. The moment natural language processing proves that silicon can think faster than carbon. It is a reminder that while we are fighting in the streets, we are building a digital god in the server rooms. But the wins are also celestial and infrastructural. In 2011, the Space Shuttle program flies its final mission, STS-135. It is the end of an era and the high-definition birth of the commercial space age. We are also seeing the technological leap of Siri. This is the year the voice assistant moves from science fiction to the iPhone, proving that human-machine interaction is the new frontier. In the world of human achievement, 2011 sees the independence of South Sudan. It is a diplomatic win, the birth of the world's youngest nation, a symbol of self-determination in a post-colonial world. We see human resilience in the chances of the Chilean miners, rescued late the previous year, as they tour the world, and in the spirit of New Zealand following the devastating Christchurch earthquake. Technologically, the win is the app economy. This is the year Angry Birds and Uber, then Uber Cab, begin to dominate our daily geometry, proving that software is eating the world. We are building digital bridges that bypass traditional gatekeepers. Even the environmental high is found in the global momentum toward electric mobility. The Nissan Leaf wins World Car of the Year in 2011, proving the internal combustion engine finally has a legitimate rival. These highs are the proof that our innovation is our life raft. We can code intelligence, we can birth nations, and we can electrify the road. 2011 is the year we proved that the species is still evolving, even when the social contract is tearing. By the summer of 2011, the atmospheric tension surrounding the Arab Spring reaches a point of total combustion in the sands of North Africa. What began as civilian dissent in Libya has mutated into a scorched earth civil war. NATO forces intervene, initiating Operation Unified Protector to halt a looming massacre in Benghazi. This military intervention marks a decisive shift in global doctrine, proving that the international community is willing to deploy kinetic force to uphold democratic aspirations. The momentum is now driving toward an inevitable regime collapse. This escalation extends far beyond the battlefield. It is an economic and humanitarian tremor felt across the globe. In August, the United States credit rating is downgraded for the first time in history, a financial gut punch that shatters the long-standing myth of American fiscal invulnerability. Simultaneously, the Horn of Africa famine reaches a harrowing peak, with millions facing starvation. This logistical failure exposes the lethal gaps in our global aid networks, proving that our sophisticated world is still capable of prehistoric suffering. In the United Kingdom, the News International phone hacking scandal erupts, revealing that the tabloid press has breached every ethical boundary imaginable, leading to the abrupt shuttering of the news of the world. The foundations of public trust are eroding as WikiLeaks continues its relentless dissemination of classified state secrets. We are witnessing a multi-point ignition. The volatility of the credit markets, the violation of sovereign borders, and the decay of journalistic integrity are all converging. The global system is no longer just rattling. It is undergoing a structural breakdown. We are living through a comprehensive stress test where the traditional pillars of stability, the central bank, the broadsheet, and the diplomatic alliance, are being revealed as hollow shells. This period represents a total reevaluation of our systemic integrity. The escalation isn't just a series of headlines. It is the sound of the old world's armor cracking under the pressure of a new, transparent reality. 2011 is a mandatory chapter in the history books because it represents the birth of digital agency. This was the year the individual stopped being a subject and started being an actor. What died in 2011 was the monopoly on information. The Arab Spring and WikiLeaks proved that in the 21st century, the state cannot hide from its own citizens. What was born this year was the algorithm-driven revolution. Tahrir Square and Zuccotti Park proved that collective intelligence could bypass traditional leadership. 2011 mattered because it was the year the future stopped being ordered and started being disrupted. It proved that a smartphone could topple a dictator, a supercomputer could outthink a human, and a disaster could dismantle a superpower's energy policy in a night. We interpret 2011 as the year the system became volatile. The social agitation, the climate instability, and the economic fragility were no longer externalities. They were the core. 2011 is the year we stopped watching the revolution and started streaming the collapse. It was the year of the Great Defiance, where the physical street and the digital square finally became one unified front. How does 2011 dictate your life right now? Look at your AI assistant. The large language models and reasoning engines you use today are the direct descendants of the Watson victory in 2011. The energy map of a nuclear-free Germany and the renewable dominance is a direct result of the Fukushima shock. The geopolitical reality of today, the fragmented Middle East and the nationalist resurgence, is a direct result of the Arab Spring aftermath and the Occupy movements of 2011. We live in a world where individual agency is a digital power, a system that was template-built by the Tahrir and WikiLeaks movements. The economic policy of today is the legacy of the US credit downgrade and the Eurozone near-death experience. We live in a world where mobile computing is the only computing, a reality that was validated by the iPad 2 and the app boom. Even your media, the 24/7 viral cycle and the crowdsourced truth, was hardwired in that year. You aren't just watching history. You are living in the fracture that was opened in 2011. The protesters of that year are the history of today, but their agitation is still running our world. 2011 was the year the fuse hit the powder. We found the God particles precursor in the silicon, but we lost our peace in the streets. We toppled the pharaohs, but we realized the desert was just getting hotter. It was a year of the defiance and the disaster, a chapter where the species looked at the old walls and decided to push. The archive is closing on the year of the protester and the tsunami, but the vault is just opening on the year the countdown would truly zero out. Join us for the next exposure, 2012. The end is the beginning. If this year surprised you, challenged what you thought you knew, or reminded you of something you lived through, leave a comment with what it meant to you. If this series helps you understand the present through the past, consider liking the video. And if you want every year exposed, subscribe to the channel. History isn't just something we watch, it's something we interpret, and something many of us lived through. Another year exposed is coming soon. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.